both of us were watching rugby into the wee hours of Sunday night as well, because Antoine Dupont was making a second outing for France on the seventh circuit. He had a short cameo the night beforehand. Give me your impressions of this firstly, because a lot of people won't have seen it yet. They might consume it via highlight reels and Twitter clips, etc. Today, what were your impressions of Dupont and how he's going for the French sevens team?
He took a while to get going. They used him off the bench initially, but when he did get going, he utterly transformed that team. They've been decent, but this was a third place finish for them, easily their best performance of the season so far. And even all the players around him just lifted their game. Right after the third place playoff, one of his teammates said, I'm paraphrasing, but you just want to impress Antoine Dupont. You want to show him you're at the level. And they were all completely inspired by his presence. He was brilliant with a bit more space. All of the amazing rugby skills that come to the fore in 15s are even magnified a little bit. His strength to push would-be tacklers off, his vision to pick out players running into space that they themselves might even don't know yet that they're going to run into, because his pass is going to send them there. His passing skill is brilliant. He's a great defender. He can strip. He can make jackal turnovers. He's really quick. He made some brilliant cover tackles. He can step as well, and really he can do everything. He's a phenomenal joy of a rugby treasure that we have. And honestly, I really enjoyed watching him in this additional space and with this, less of those big forwards lumbering all around him when he scoops the ball up from a breakdown. It's going to be fun to follow. They're a must watch already. Honestly, the next time France Sevens are playing, tune in, because you'll just enjoy his amazing skill set. And yeah, I thought it was really pointed and notable how he lifted everyone else as well as being brilliant. And then you were watching on Sunday in the Six Nations, and it was jarring for that very reason, because probably the way he was lifting others before in that team, it's missing now, as well as the brilliance and direction of his play. He brought such clarity. And in hindsight, now I probably underrated just how influential he was for France 15s, even though I understood how he was the heartbeat of that team, and how even at the World Cup, they had to make sure that he rushed back from a fractured face to play against the Springboks in the quarterfinal, because it turns out he was literally everything to that team.
Well, here's the thing about the Italian game from France's point of view. Like, you go back 4 or 5 months, they hockey Italy 60 points to 7 at the Rugby World Cup. You watch them then without Dupont on Sunday, and subconsciously you might put it down to his absence. But then you remember he also didn't play in that Italy game in the World Cup because of that fractured face. So, like, the difference, like the absolute juxtaposition between these two French performances and equally the Italian performance, could not be more significant as we reflect on it a day later, Murray. And I wonder, like, to what extent would you put Sunday's game down to Italy being resurgent a little bit under Gonzalo Quesada, just having that bit between their teeth again that had clearly gone. And they probably had just look, Kieran Crowley unfortunately probably reached a point where his sell by date was just before that World Cup. They put together a good Six Nations, but clearly the players sort of checked out on him during that tournament, and they're invigorated by this new coach. But also France's drop off in intensity and execution, but even seemingly in their planning, could not be more stark. And obviously there are new coaches involved there, including a new attack coach. But it's almost like their standards have dropped off the face of the earth. Like, which is it for you, or is it both that Italy are probably on an upward curve, France are kind of nosediving?
I think let's come back to Italy, but I do think France are a much worse team this year than just a few months ago, really, at the World Cup. They look to me like a team that's lacking purpose. And there's so much talk in rugby about culture now and unifying the players in that sense. And a lot of it sounds so waffly and bullshitty, but it actually is important to have that mission and that energy that you're moving towards something. And I think France have lost that. They had the Home World Cup, everything stayed cohesive and connected and organized for 4 years, and everything was put on a platter for this team. And so much of what those players, those individuals did was just all about winning a Home World Cup and creating history that way. And the disappointment of that seems to have been really difficult to bounce back from. And the energy around the group, even from the reporting in the French media, just isn't right at the moment. And it's not the happiest camp. And you can even see in Galtier's own body language, a guy who has been a tricky personality in the past and difficult to get on with, and at times has been frustrated in previous roles. He has that energy about him now, and I think that pervades everything that they're doing on the pitch, which a lot of it, you're right, isn't good. Even strategically, they seem to be in a bit of a muddle at the moment, and there's not as clear a identity, I suppose, to how they're playing. Previously was a kick heavy, quite confrontational, straight up, being physically dominant up front, and there were elements of that on Sunday, of course. But other times they're trying to fling around. You look at Luku and Jalibert, who are certainly more suited to a freer style, and even Thomas Ramos said that in the media recently that they wanted to have the shackles loosened a little bit. So they're maybe going through a strange kind of strategic, I suppose, difficulty and figuring that out. And yeah, like they should have won this game before half time. They started really well. The Olivon try was a really good example of them being direct, just blunt force around the corner, really well timed runs, picking nice angles, tight to the ruck, and smashing their way over, direct, dominant. You look, what is it, the 12th minute, they have a chance to actually go clear and almost finish the game when they break out of their own half. Tuilagi pulls a lovely sweep pass out to Jalibert. He probably passes too early, and Italy scramble really well there, but then Dante swings a pass from right to left, people will remember, and it's just in front of Malvac. It's a forward pass. They scored there and it's probably game over. And then there's a whole host of chances as they dominate the possession territory. Jalibert obviously had a nightmare game. He kicks one out in the full, a cross kick in the 22. He just drops one cold from a Malvaca pass. There's Peno chipping into touch. I mean, they are held up at one stage. Really, it was that close. And you just thought if they could get one of those chances converted, then they've got breathing room, and Italy's belief fades. But that wasn't the case. Italy, to their credit, clung in, and then the red card on the stroke half time reduces France to 14. Obviously, allows Italy to kick 3, and they're thrilled to go in at 10-3, and then it's France who were kind of wobbly in the second half, and you could see the not panic, but you see the unease settling in front of a great crowd. It should be said, but that pressure seemed to rise on them. So they're in a very difficult spot, France. It's kind of been a quick downfall, a quick reversal of their fortunes, but it doesn't really surprise me either, given the magnitude of that project that they had. And it must be really hard to come up with a new one to find the energy to go again with a completely different project, different players. Dupont, as I said, is massively missed. Ntamak is massively missed because he was such a big tactical influence, and he was so disciplined with how he played the game. And Jalibert just isn't that player yet. Maybe he will be. So they're definitely in a tricky spot. But Italy, I thought, were well worth a win. But at the same time, it's a fantastic result for them.